Welcome clients and guests to my channel. I'm Jason Serro and I'm a licensed professional counselor. My videos are designed to educate and empower you to make informed decisions about your mental health. The link between ADHD and addiction, an explanation of addictive adult behaviors. A lot of adults with ADHD engage in addictive behaviors, such as food, drugs, or internet addiction. To overcome cravings, learn to recognize the early warning signs of addiction, and to differentiate between the many forms of addiction. ADHD and addictive behaviors. Effectively managing ADHD is a difficult task. When there is a co-occurring drug or behavioral addiction, it gets more challenging. Addiction-related behaviors plague a large number of individuals with ADHD, but they are frequently ignored and mistreated. It is not possible to directly relate addictive habits to ADHD through genetics. Complex behavioral, emotional, and environmental components are frequently the root cause of addictive disorders. Many people with ADHD are more likely to engage in thrill-seeking behavior, drive really fast, feel the need for instant gratification, and look for new pleasure-seeking activities. Stressors from life, such as losing one's work or having money problems, are more common in people with ADHD and also increase the likelihood of substance abuse and other addictive behaviors. Addictive habits first give the brain's reward system a dopamine rush that is highly satisfying. The initial high fades with time, but the addicted behavior persists because of mental or bodily desires. Among the signs of addiction are an intense and pressing urge for the drug or activity. These could be mental desires like gambling or physical cravings like alcohol or drugs. No command over the amount consumed. This is the reason that 30 minutes of video gaming goes into 5 hours and one drink turns into 7. Continued use in spite of drawbacks. Sometimes this entails denial. I do not have a drinking problem. But many people maintain their addictive behaviors despite knowing the problems they cause. An unwillingness to give up the habits even though one wants to. In such a situation, it is important to consult with a counselor who specializes in treating addiction, chemical addictive behaviors. Approximately 25% of people in the general population have substance use problems at some point in their lives. They might have an addiction to prescription pharmaceuticals, alcohol, or recreational drugs. In contrast, drug use disorders have been a problem for 50% of individuals with ADHD at some point in their lives. Addictions in adults with ADHD can have a variety of origins, but two common ones recur frequently. First, adults with ADHD are more likely to self-medicate. This tendency is especially strong when the adults are unaware of the biology of their ADHD and have not yet mastered effective management techniques. Second, a lot of adults with ADHD are drawn to new and exciting activities. One person mentioned that he enjoyed playing with his mind. Excitation in the brain of ADHD. Many adults with ADHD regularly self-medicate by consuming high doses of coffee. Some people use nicotine for self-medication via vaping or smoking cigarettes. Ephedrine, cocaine, crystal meth, MDMA, and crystal meth are other stimulants that are abused. All of them, including excessive caffeine consumption, carry significant health hazards, some of which are fatal. These medications have very little short-term benefits, which are much exceeded by the grave risks they pose to one's health and life. When taken as directed, prescribed stimulant medications are safer and more effective than the substances covered above. If you are going to self-medicate, take the proper precautions. The drugs must only be taken orally and at the recommended dosages in order to be used safely. My name is Jason Serro and I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I'm accepting new patients for mental health counseling, both in person and through telehealth. Want to stay in the loop with all the latest articles, videos, and valuable mental health insights? Sign up through the link in the description or click on this video here. You can also go to www.jasoncerro.com and enter your email at the bottom of my homepage. Please do me a solid and like and subscribe to my channel to get the latest videos. The ADHD brain and alcohol. Alcohol can improve social interactions and eating experiences when it is consumed in moderation. Excessive use makes it extremely addicting. Addiction to alcohol is seen as equally serious as addiction to heroin. Alcohol is frequently used as a self-medication drug of choice by people who are depressed or anxious. ADHD brain and cannabis use. Cannabis is getting close to being accepted in society on par with alcohol. A lot of individuals utilize it to encourage serenity and relaxation. Numerous marijuana strains exist, each with varying effects on individual users. Some hyperactive adults with ADHD think it helps them become less hyperactive. Some people only take pleasure in the enjoyable high that drugs provide. Many individuals classify marijuana as something they can play with their brains. When considering marijuana usage, adults with ADHD should be advised that frequent use might negatively affect memory, attention, and activation difficulties. Put differently, chronic marijuana usage may make issues related to inattention, forgetfulness, and delayed gratification even worse. The ADHD brain and opioids. Codeine and morphine are examples of opiate medications. Over the last few years, the misuse of prescription opioid drugs such as Vicodin, Oxycontin, and Percocet has spread across the country and claimed hundreds of lives. When misused, these extremely addictive substances can be fatal. When overdosing, they result in over twice as many deaths as heroin. Adrenaline and calming agents. Medications that suppress the central nervous system include prescription sedatives and tranquilizers. They essentially have the opposite effect on the brain as stimulant medicines do. They are frequently recommended for tension, anxiety, and sleep issues. Some ADHD sufferers use them to help with their difficulty getting to sleep and remaining asleep. Long-term, continuous use of drugs recommended as sleep aids can result in addiction. Psychoactive substances. Among the hallucinogens include DMT, PCP, psilocybin, often known as magic mushrooms, mescaline, and LSD. These are potent, mind-altering substances that can cause extreme mood swings, altered reality perception, and hallucinations. Anecdotally, I have numerous clients report to me that psilocybin and ketamine-assisted therapy have greatly improved their overall mental health. ADHD and behavioral dependencies. Addictions to behavior receive less attention than addictions to chemicals. They can, however, lead to serious issues in people's lives, just like any other addiction. They ought to be addressed professionally when needed and with due seriousness. Internet dependencies. The internet is made to be both addictive and distracting. It provides satisfaction right away. There is a limitless supply of social connections, information, and amusement. The ADHD brain says, "Hello there, where have you been all my life?" Overuse of online media such as social media, message boards, and countless websites is a symptom of internet addiction. But most will say, you just characterize life in the present era. Well, not at all. Excessive use is what distinguishes an addiction. It is necessary to admit that you have an issue with the internet if spending time on it causes you to neglect or harm the people you care about, or if it prevents you from finishing tasks. Gambling dependencies. Addiction to gambling is one of the most potent and harmful habits. Gambling, whether it be sports betting, casino gambling, or other types of gambling, disturb people's lives. Relationship and financial issues follow suit. I will never forget my first ever client who lost he and his wife's entire retirement and life savings, along with having to foreclose on their house because of his gambling addiction. Addictions to shopping. Shopping gives many people a short-term mood lift and rapid enjoyment, whether or not they have ADHD. There are two main reasons why people with ADHD are more likely to overspend or develop a shopping addiction. First, people with ADHD tend to be naturally impulsive shoppers. Furthermore, it is simple to lose track of one's spending habits when one does not maintain track of one's cash. Addictions to sexual behavior. A sexual addiction is by definition characterized by a loss of self-control over one's sexual conduct. Having serial affairs is what this means for some people, regardless of whether they're in a committed relationship. For some, it entails using prostitutes or approaching potential sexual partners online. Porn addiction is the most prevalent type of sexual addiction. Food-related addictive behaviors. Addictions to food are seen as behavioral and physical disorders. They are so prevalent that a lot of people consider them to be standard eating routines. Regretfully, the most unhealthy foods also tend to be the most addictive. Consuming them regularly raises the risk of obesity and physical ailments like diabetes, but it also throws off mood management and cognitive function due to the unpredictable fluctuations in blood sugar levels. For the same reason that addictive medicines are addictive, highly processed foods like cakes and cookies are also addictive. They have a quick rate of absorption and deliver a large dose, in this case sugar. It is true that the sugar high you get from eating a dish of ice cream. Your carbohydrate need for a bag of chips is actually a genuine desire for carbohydrates. Excessive cravings are one sign of addiction. When does eating turn into an addiction to food? Crucial elements to take into account are There can be an issue when one person starts with a cup of ice cream and ends up consuming the entire thing. The same might be said for scarfing down a whole bag of chips, half a huge pizza, and so on. There is a problem when someone cannot stop eating despite being extremely overweight or experiencing health issues like diabetes or hypertension. A key feature that distinguishes addictive behavior is the attempt to modify unhealthy behavior and the inability to do so on one's own.